We now turn to our reading this morning, and our reading is a follow-up to the chapter we read 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago we were in chapter 32, considering that encounter which Jacob had with the Lord at Peniel. He's on his way home from his homeland, having met with his uncle in Laban in Haran, having acquired 2 wives and children. The years have passed, and now he's on his way home to Canaan. And he has this meeting with the Lord at Peniel. And after that, as he enters the promised land, in chapter 33, we discover what happens next. And that will be our consideration this morning. Now Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and there Esau was coming, and with him were 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 maidservants. And he put the maidservants and their children in front, Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then he crossed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted his eyes, and saw the women and children, and said, "Who are these with you?" So he said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." Then the maidservants came near, they and their children, and bowed down. And Leah also came near with her children, and they bowed down. Afterward Joseph and Rachel came near, and they bowed down. Then Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company which I met?" And he said, "These are to find favour in the sight of my Lord." But Esau said, "I have enough. My brother, keep what you have for yourself." And Jacob said, "No, please. If I have found favour in your sight, then receive my present from my hand, inasmuch as I have seen your face as though I had seen the face of God, and you are pleased with me. Please take my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough." So he urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, "Let us take our journey, let us go, and I will go before you." But Jacob said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are weak, and the flocks and herds which are nursing are with me. And if the men should drive them hard one day, all the flock will die. Please let my Lord go on ahead before his servant. I will lead on slowly at a pace which the livestock are able to endure, until I come to my Lord in Seir." And Esau said, "Now let me leave with you some of the people who are with me." But he said, "What need is there? Let me find favour in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, built himself a house, and made booths for his livestock. Therefore the name of the place is called Succoth. Then Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padanaram. And he pitched his tent before the city. And he brought the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. Then he erected an altar there and called it El Elohe Israel. Well, we continue in our worship of the Lord, and we turn in our hymn books, Christian hymns, to the hymn 805. 805. This is one of the hymns by John Newton, and if you are familiar with John Newton, I'm sure you will concur with me in saying that his hymns are some of the finest in the Christian hymn book, because they are very faithful in their doctrine, but they are also often deeply experimental, And that is always a healthy combination, that we are to subscribe mentally to the truths of the faith, but we are called to experience them at the same time. So this hymn reads, the first verse, "Rejoice, believer, in the Lord, who makes your cause his own. The hope that's built upon his word can ne'er be overthrown." This hymn is sung by the congregation of Westminster Chapel, and it was recorded in 1964.